The X-Trial World Championship arrives in Strasbourg for the first time since 2012 for the fourth round of the 2018 series and the last of a January tour in France. After this event, the riders will move on to Spain, having reached the halfway mark of the campaign, with their rankings starting to settle. Even the shortest of distances between venues allowed little respite for the riders, with less than a week to prepare for X-Trial Toulouse on the back of a demanding visit to Montpellier. And another tough course meant a high-scoring X-Trial with no margin for error. British youngster Jack Price on his X-Trial debut was among the round one casualties, although he finished only 4 marks short of progression after strong rides in sections 2 and 3. Gironi Fajardo's elimination was a greater surprise. After his defeat at the hands of Miquel Gelabert in Montpellier, Fajardo was left first through the sections, and he was one of 4 riders who notched 4 fiascos on the lap. James Dable was another, the British rider falling from hero to zero with a 7th place finish that dropped him to 4th in the championship standings following his podium exploits in Montpellier. Jaime Busto recovered something of his Vendée form late on the opening lap to progress to the second round of heats, but that was as far as his evening went, a failure in the first section, enough to separate him from the podium. Miquel Gelabert won a crucial duel with Takehisa Fujinami to earn automatic qualification to Strasbourg by just a single mark margin. He could easily have achieved more than 4th position. After a superb start to the second lap, a failure in section 4 cost him a place on the podium. Positions 3 to 6 were separated by just 3 marks, and it was Benoit Bincaz who proved the most consistent of the non-qualifiers to take 3rd overall and become the first Frenchman on an X-Trial podium since 2001. Adam Raga and Toni Bou were comfortably the top performers in the second round of heats, Raga progressing by a 5-mark margin in second and taking to the sections in the final first. The series of 4 failed sections in 5 meant that for the first time in the new era, the X-Trial was decided before the last section of the night. Toni Bou took his 10th consecutive X-Trial victory at the end of section 3 and went on to a win by a 17-mark margin. Toni Bou's 3rd win of the season gives him an 18-point lead overall, the top 2 breaking clear of a separate battle for 3rd, led by Benoit Bincaz after his podium exploits in Toulouse. X-Trial Strasbourg sees Germany's Franz Kadlec rejoin the lineup and his long-term rival Jaime Busto, now lined up as teammates following Busto's surprise winter move to Gas. The pair will hope to grow their relationship beyond that of rivals as they form part of a new generation pushing forwards in the sport. I've known Jaime for a long time. I competed with him in the European Youth Championship, also in the Junior World Championship, and we were always quite close. He has always been able to beat me, but it's been close. In those years, I would say we were always opponents and we didn't really have much contact. But now we're getting older and it's less of a fight, more of a friendly rivalry. I'd always been with him in other teams, and now being together again is good because we can train together. As a result of training and so on, we've got a bit further than some of the others. We're a bit closer to the top, and I think carrying on this way we can get closer still. I've ridden against Jaime for quite a long time in different categories, and for many years he's only been an opponent. And now that he's back at Gas in the same team, it isn't as much of a change as I thought. I'm training with him a bit more than usual, and everything's still good. We've always had quite a close level, and now that we're even training together, I can say I think he'll do a good job. For Kadlec in particular, X-Trial Strasbourg has a special meaning as an opportunity to get back into the World Championship after failing to impress as a permanent rider in the 2017 campaign, and also to continue paving the way as Germany's lone representative. Some fans from Germany are coming to the X-Trial because they live quite close to the border, and it's good to have them here, a bit of home support. It's really nice to be here in Strasbourg, so close to Germany, and competing in the X-Trial. The new regulations give me the chance to qualify for another race, so it's a great opportunity. fourth round of the 2018 X-Trial World Championship is the second edition of the X-Trial Strasbourg, last staged as the 2012 season opener and won by Toni Bou. But local crowds from both sides of the border between France and Germany have not forgotten the appeal of the sport. An attendance of 4,800 spectators left not a seat unfilled in the Zénith de Strasbourg. Franz Kadlec took the place of Takehisa Fujinami as the nominated international rider, meaning representatives of 6 different nationalities have now competed in the 2018 X-Trial World Championship. After suffering the worst performance of his career following an early elimination in Toulouse, Gironi Fajardo was keen to avoid the same fate again, setting out first through the sections in round 1. A strong performance in each of the first 5 sections, each completed in succession, proved enough for the Gas rider to progress. His young teammate Jack Price, by contrast, struggled to a maximum 30-mark score over 6 sections, ensuring his second X-Trial appearance finished with a 9th and last position. Germany's Franz Kadlec made his first appearance of the new era with a promising start, successfully making it through section 1 to guarantee himself a finishing position above Price, but he could make it no further and took 8th. Miquel Gelabert became the first rider to successfully complete section 6, but was left to sweat on qualification with 5 riders still to come. The Sherco youngster tallying 17 marks for the lap. Jaime Busto beat his fellow countryman's round 1 total by 2 marks to ensure his progression for the 3rd time in the new era, becoming the first rider to clean section 5 to secure his place after an inconsistent start to the lap. After his impressive podium in Montpellier, James Dable continued his downward trend with a second successive round 1 elimination. The British rider recorded a total of 4 failed sections, compared with just 2 for closest rival Gelabert. Benoit Bincaz now only needed to better Dable's 23-mark total to ensure a 4th consecutive transfer spot, and he did so as the most consistent of anyone through the first 4 sections and with a 16-mark lap. Adam Raga was surprisingly underwhelming in round 1, although he had already secured progression by the time he failed section 4. The reigning world number 2 could only manage 4th position on the opening lap. Toni Bou took top spot in round 1 for the 4th time this season, but had to fight back from a momentary scare and a 5-mark score in section 1. 5 successive cleans secured him the top qualification position in emphatic style. Gironi Fajardo put in one of his best performances of the season with 2nd position in the opening round of heats, Jaime Busto taking 3rd directly behind him on countback after a tie with Adam Raga. The top 3 in the World Championship standings have been drawn against one another in heat number 2, with just 1 qualification position available from each of the heats. Heat 1 lineup: Miquel Gelabert, Jaime Busto and Gironi Fajardo for heat 2, Benoit Bincaz, Adam Raga and Toni Bou. The winner of each heat then progressing to the head-to-head final, the best non-qualified rider taking the 3rd step on the podium here in Strasbourg. Miquel Gelabert is first out through the section. 6 minutes to complete 6 sections with as few penalty marks as possible, the aim. 2016 European champion Miquel Gelabert, the youngest rider in the field here tonight. Something of a surprise participant as well, having earned his qualification in back-to-back events at the expense of the likes of Takehisa Fujinami and Gironi Fajardo, working his way here through section 1. To make a twist through this section before its main step. He's done so with a little bit of difficulty. 1 mark drop for leaning and a mark drop for footing, of course. The left leg used to haul the bike back onto the section. A good save, because for a moment there it looked as though he was going to drop down to a fail. this the main step of the section, and then he'll be out of section number 1. Miquel Gelabert of Sherco, currently 6th in the championship standings, drops down to a failure in section number 1. He'd already dropped a couple of marks, one for leaning and one for footing, but eventually it was the section's main step that halted his progress, and it's a 5-mark score in section number 1. Now he moves on to section 2. Decent step right at the start, and he's had to take a dab. Single mark there, drop for footing. Left foot going down to steady himself, but he's making his way nicely now. 2 main steps in this. The cotton reels, the wooden section here. Miquel Gelabert with just that single mark from the start of the section. Particularly impressive last time out in Toulouse, falling just 2 marks short of a first X-Trial podium. Certainly looked in his grasp at one stage, place among the top 3, so that will be his target once again here tonight. Miquel Gelabert in section 2, just 1 mark dropped so far. Building up to the final element of the section. Remember that the time continues to count down between sections, 6 minutes to complete 6 sections. And the level looking just as tough at round number 4 as it did at round 3 in Toulouse last time out. A single mark for Miquel Gelabert in section 2. He moves on to 6 marks. The unfavourable first starting position through the sections, because of course all of these sections are new for the riders. Completed in the reverse configuration compared to lap number 1. So Gelabert as yet has no reference point. He's just got to keep his penalty marks to an absolute minimum here. The descent looking one of the tougher elements of this section number 3. And he's going to have dropped a couple of marks there. And now he's got himself stuck in between 2 of the modules. Miquel Gelabert is in real trouble here in section 3. And he's already got a couple of marks to his name. That's going to be a 3rd. Lifts himself back onto the section, but in the end, it's just too much for Miquel Gelabert. He takes another foot and fails in section 3. Moving on to 11 now from the 3 sections. Miquel Gelabert. Next up, section 4. This on paper, one of the easier sections. The level of difficulty will be ramped up come the grand final when the centrepiece, the main trunk of this section, will be included. But for now, it's a tour of these trunks and around the outside of that main step. Technical ability is crucial here. Miquel Gelabert, section number 4. Not a great start with 2 failures in the first 3 sections. But it's been very impressive so far for Miquel Gelabert in his debut season. Currently tied with Gironi Fajardo despite having missed the opening round. Miquel Gelabert successfully through in section number 4. Clean, his first clean of the lap. Remaining on 11 marks then from 4 completed sections, 2 still to come. He's going to be very, very tight in terms of time. Section 5 and section 6, both long ones. Miquel Gelabert embarking now on section number 5. Big step to open up with. And I would suggest that's going to be a mark drop for leaning right on the entrance there. And he's overshot the landing as well, and he's got himself in an awkward position here because he needs to bridge up that step and make it over. But he's sloped the wrong way down the ramp, and he's tried on a few occasions to get back up. Eventually he's had to give it up, and it's a 5-mark score in section 5. So with the time elapsing, Gelabert in the end just slipping off the side of that section to give himself a shot at section number 6. He moves on to 16 marks with just this last one remaining. Remains to be seen whether this will be good enough for him to move through to the final or have a shot at the podium. A single mark drop there for footing. Trying to use his left leg as a pivot to haul himself up. Just the 1 mark drop so far. That's going to be another. Left foot used once again, and he's now dropped to 3 because he's dropped a mark for leaning, and it's all over for Miquel Gelabert. Accumulation of various marks on observation there, eventually pushing him over the limit and into a 4th failed section of the lap. Not an ideal start for Miquel Gelabert with those 4 failures, but a good effort in sections 2 and 4 may give him a shot at progression on a 21 mark total from those 6 sections. Joining Jaime Busto, the gas rider here for section number 3. He's failed each of the opening 2. Remember, Miquel Gelabert dropped just a single mark in section 2, so a failure there could prove costly for Jaime Busto, who now needs to make up ground in the remainder of the lap. 10 marks from 2, 21 the target tally for him if he wants to have a hope of making it through to tonight's grand final. podium finisher, remember, at the opening round in Vendée. Brilliant runner-up position at the opening event of the new era. Since then, it's been a bit of a barren spell for him, and he's dropped to 5th in the championship standings, the 20-year-old. Making his way efficiently through this one, section number 3, failed by Miquel Gelabert, and Jaime Busto, after the disappointment of section 2, has wiped that lost ground away with a good effort in section 3. On now to section 4. Miquel Gelabert managed to clean this one, remember. Jaime Busto making the turn here, and he's got it wrong, and that's going to cost him a single mark for a dab with the left foot. And once again, Busto finds himself behind where Miquel Gelabert was at the same stage. He made up lost ground in section 3. He's conceded a mark in section 4, and that's going to mean that he now must complete at least one of the 2 remaining sections or confirm his elimination. Gelabert failed both sections 5 and 6. Jaime Busto now cannot afford to do so. So which will it be? Jaime Busto on section 5 or section 6? Will he be able to get through either of these to keep himself in the hunt here tonight? Saw Gelabert make it through this opening step, but then succumb. Jaime Busto, the first step of section number 5, and he's straight down to a 5. Disaster for Jaime Busto, who now must get through this section number 6, the last section of the lap, or drop behind Miquel Gelabert and guarantee his own elimination. It's not been a great start to this 2018 calendar year. 9th and 6th position finishes in the last 2 rounds for Jaime Busto. Where will he finish here tonight? It's a failure in section 6. His 4th failure of the lap, but that single mark score in section number 4 coming back to haunt him. Gelabert was clean there, and that separates the 2 Spaniards by just a single mark. Miquel Gelabert finishes his lap on 21. Jaime Busto on 22 is eliminated. All sorts of dramas for Gironi Fajardo in the opening 2 sections. Both failed, just like his Gasgas teammate Jaime Busto. Now on to section number 3, and straight off of it as well. Gironi Fajardo, with a 3rd successive failure, is in danger territory already. The Spaniard must now concede a maximum of 6 marks in the remaining 3 sections, 2 of which are yet to be completed, sections 5 and 6. Gironi Fajardo then in section 4. We've already seen one rider complete it clean, Miquel Gelabert. Gironi Fajardo needs to do the same here to give himself the best possible chance of further progression. The 32-year-old from Spain bidding for a first podium finish of the new era to add to his 26 top 3 X-Trial finishes, making his 87th X-Trial appearance here tonight. Efficiently through in section 4, avoiding the difficulties that Jaime Busto faced on the turn earlier in this trunk section, and it looks set to be a clean for Gironi Fajardo. Critical ride there to get things back on track after 3 successive failures, but he has only got that 6-mark margin to play with at the most. And if he does fail these 2 remaining sections, he will drop to the bottom of the provisional standings here in round number 2. Gironi Fajardo lining up for section 5. Big step to open us up. Fajardo makes it over. He's going to drop a single mark for leaning there. Moves himself forward, bridges nicely. That's where Miquel Gelabert got himself into difficulty. Gironi Fajardo seemingly has this one under a little bit more control than either Gelabert or Busto before him, and he makes it over the main step. He's got to continue to work his way through this section. Single mark dropped already. He can't afford too many more than that. He must make it through this section if he wants to have a hope, surely, of progressing through to the grand final, already on 15 marks. Good work from Gironi Fajardo. Looking set to become the first rider to make it through section number 5. Could keep open his chances of making it through to the grand final here tonight. Gironi Fajardo makes it up the step without dropping any further marks, and it's just a single dab in section number 5 for leaning early on. The best result of anyone so far in that section. Now Gironi Fajardo coming into section 6, guaranteed to beat Jaime Busto in the standings. He now must either complete this section or beat Miquel Gelabert on time to qualify to the final. Looks like he's going to attempt this section and try to get the best result possible here, but he must get through it, and it's a single mark drop there for footing. All of the riders who've tackled this one, section number 6, have failed so far. Fajardo labouring over the opening staircase. He dropped a mark to haul himself up there. Fajardo looking very, very tight on time. And it's one of the longer sections, certainly the taller ones as well. And Gironi Fajardo has dropped another mark on leaning, another mark on footing. The time is elapsing as well. And it looks to me as though it's going to be a failure for Gironi Fajardo. And Gironi Fajardo is eliminated here in Strasbourg, just on a tie-break on time with Miquel Gelabert. The two Spaniards both finishing on 21, a tight result in heat number 1 with Jaime Busto finishing on 22, Miquel Gelabert and Gironi Fajardo just a single mark ahead of him, and Fajardo and Gelabert separated on a tiebreak on time, and it's Gelabert who finished the lap 30 seconds quicker than Gironi Fajardo, the latter eliminated. Now moving on to the second of the round 2 heats, and on paper the stronger, with the top 3 in the current championship standings in direct confrontation. Benoit Bincaz will be the first rider through, and he will be cursing his misfortune in having to face 2 of the greats. 21 marks, the best total in heat number 1, and that's the target to beat for Benoit Bincaz to guarantee himself a place in the top 4 here tonight. Concedes a mark on leaning early on here in section number 1. This section has been failed by each of the 3 riders to tackle it so far, Gelabert, Busto and Fajardo from heat number 1. Has Bincaz been able to learn anything from the Spaniard's failures as he tries to make it first rider through? Taking a slightly different approach here, Benoit Bincaz. Can he make the section's main step? The answer is no. Down to a 5-mark score for Benoit Bincaz. Not a disaster as yet. Remember, 21 marks the target total at the moment, and then he'll have to wait and see whether either Adam Raga or Toni Bou, or indeed both, can better him later on. Mark drop for leaning right on the entrance to section number 2. In fact, that's going to be 2 because he slipped back onto the sump for a second time. So 3 marks with the foot included to haul himself up for Benoit Bincaz. Not a great start to this one, section 2. If he drops any more marks in the remainder of this section, it will be an automatic failure. Bincaz, for whom consistency has been key in recent rounds and the key to his place on the podium last time out in Toulouse, needs to find some consistency here between sections 2 and 4, because his rivals in heat number 1 all failed at least one of sections 2 to 4. Busto and Fajardo both failed this section 2. Bincaz, narrowly avoiding dropping another mark for leaning on the previous element, is working his way through. 3 marks so far in section number 2. Could he become only the second rider to make it out of this one? Last big step, and through. Benoit Bincaz with 3 drop marks in section 2 moves on to 8. It's 2 marks better than where Jaime Busto and Gironi Fajardo were at the same point in the lap. Miquel Gelabert still the best rider through section 2 so far in round number 2 with just a single mark. Moving on to section 3 now, Benoit Bincaz, who made history last weekend as one of only 3 French riders to have made it onto an extra podium. The descent has been difficult for the riders so far in this section 3. All of them have dropped marks on the way down. Bincaz is no exception. That's going to be a drop mark for leaning. Jaime Busto, the best rider on this section so far with just a single. Can Benoit Bincaz match him? A real opportunity for Bincaz, knowing exactly what he needs to do to secure a place in the top 4 once again. It's been a good run for him in his debut X-Trial season as a permanent rider in this World Championship. Another mark drop there for a dab with his right foot as he makes it over but fails to reach quite as far as he wanted to. Moving on to 3 now, Benoit Bincaz. Again in that situation where he can't afford to drop any more in the closing stages of the section, but he doesn't, and it's a 3-mark score in section 3, and he's the first rider to make it through both sections 2 and 3 without a failure. Gelabert failed section 3, Busto failed section 2, and Fajardo failed both. Needing to take advantage of the opportunity that's been presented to him now, Benoit Bincaz, 11 marks from the first 3 sections. Gelabert and Busto had both the same tally at the same stage. A clean here in section 4 is a golden opportunity, would guarantee him at least a tie with Gironi Fajardo. And a tie will be decided on time, so as long as Bincaz doesn't use the full 6 minutes, if he cleans this one, section 4, that will be enough for him to secure 4th position here tonight. He'll hope for better, of course, but that will depend on Adam Raga and Toni Bou next up in heat number 2. Benoit Bincaz, so far so good in section number 4. 2 of the 3 riders to tackle it so far have been clean. Bincaz looking set to become the 3rd. Nice twists and turns, watched on by his assistant, and Benoit Bincaz is through. 3rd rider clean through section 4, guaranteed a tie with Jeroni Fajardo over 4th position. And as long as he beats the Spaniard on time, that will be enough to secure him 4th place here tonight. Sections 5 and 6, can he do anything about either of these two? Section 5 completed with just a single mark scored by Jeroni Fajardo last time out. Benoit Bincaz is up, he's dropped a single mark in the same place as Fajardo. Now can he make it through the rest of this section? Needs to keep his scores to an absolute minimum, knowing that Adam Raga and Toni Bou are still to come, as he bids for a 2nd successive podium but crashes down to a 5 in section 5. Minder has to catch the front wheel in the end. He teetered over and down he went. Gives a little wave to the fans, but he's still got another section to complete here, Benoit Bincaz. And he's got to think about time as well, as Benoit Bincaz moves on to section number 6. Straight up and straight down. So he will indeed beat Jeroni Fajardo in terms of time. That's enough to secure 4th position here tonight. 3 failed sections, but consistency through sections 2 to 4, critical for him. Benoit Bincaz, not a bad effort there, and similar to the efforts of Gelabert, Busto and Jeroni Fajardo from heat number 1. Will that be enough, though, to progress from heat 2, with Adam Raga and Toni Bou still to come? 4 times world champion Adam Raga meets his main championship rival Toni Bou. Having struggled in the opening round to just 4th position, that has left the 2 in the same heat here in round number 2, with only one of them able to progress, and a poor start for Adam Raga. Straight down to a 5. Well, that is not a good start at all for the most experienced rider in the field. Adam Raga with a 5 in section 1. He's the 5th rider to fail that one. We'll give him a little bit more time, though, for the rest of the lap as he moves straight on to section 2. And straight up without dropping a mark for leaning on the opening step. That's been the area that's caught out a couple of his rivals here in section number 2. In fact, nobody has cleaned this one as yet. Benoit Bincaz in the same heat scored 3 marks here, so Raga with an opportunity to move in front of the Frenchman. Needs to keep his score as low as possible, knowing that Toni Bou is yet to come. Adam Raga, the reigning world number 2, riding for TRS, the youngest of the brands represented here tonight. Founded by 7 times world champion Jordi Terres and debuted in the 2016 X-Trial season. Final step for Adam Raga in section 2, and he makes it through. First rider clean in the 2nd section of the lap. 5 marks from 2 sections so far, the best of anyone at the same stage. On now to section number 3. A clean here would guarantee him a place on the podium already, because it would mean he cannot drop behind the score set by Benoit Bincaz. And Bincaz, of course, is ahead of Jeroni Fajardo in the overall standing. So it's a clean the target here for Adam Raga. Nicely done through the opening steps up to the highest point of this section, the 2nd highest point of this lap. Dropping a single mark there for leaning on the way down. All of the riders have done that. So it's going to take at least 1 section more for Adam Raga to secure his place on the podium, but he's looking confident so far. Section number 3, Jaime Busto, the best through this one so far with a single mark score in heat number 1. Benoit Bincaz dropped 3, but Adam Raga matches Busto with a single mark score there, and it's only 6 marks from the opening 3 sections. The best anyone had managed previously was 11 through the same 3, remember. So half a lap completed, and the 4 times world champion with an advantage over his direct rivals. Runner-up in 2012's X-Trial Strasbourg. By now a familiar position after so many seasons as Toni Bou's closest rival. Raga must see this as an opportunity here in Heat 2. If he can get the better of Toni Bou, he will have a chance to gain back 8 of the lost championship points. Massive margin to try and make up compared to Toni Bou at the moment for Adam Raga. Was beaten by a massive 17-mark margin in the final in Toulouse by Toni Bou, the 11 times world champion. Three of the riders have already made it clean through section 4. Adam Raga looks set to do the same. And this will be enough to secure him a place above Benoit Bincaz. And yet another successive podium for Adam Raga. Good ride in section 4. He's still on 6 marks from 4 sections. And 2 still to come. Possibly the hardest 2 of the lap. No one as yet has made it through section 6. And 3 of the riders have failed on section 5. Single mark drop for leaning on the step on the opening to this section for Adam Raga. Already guaranteed to beat the other 4 riders who've gone before him in terms of points total on this lap. But it remains to be seen what Toni Bou can do in these same sections. And with only 1 rider moving through from the heats, the last thing you want to do is meet Toni Bou in the heat stages. Nicely done there from Adam Raga. In the same fashion as Gironi Fajardo before him earlier on this evening, the only rider to have made it through this section 5 so far. Adam Raga with his 101st podium finish now confirmed. 36 victories to his name. He hopes to add to that. He's got to make it past Toni Bou in this heat number 2 if he wants to add to that tally. Last step of section number 5. He's up and over. Single mark dropped on the opening step of the section, but otherwise brilliant. And Adam Raga is on 7 marks from 5 completed sections. This is a very, very strong ride from Adam Raga. He knows he's under pressure here, but without being able to know exactly what he needs to do, with Toni Bou still to come. Section number 6. We saw him make it up this staircase quite brilliantly in the last round. Similar configuration here in Strasbourg, and Raga has taken a mark early on, but has continued to push on through. And thanks to his very swift failure in section 1 earlier on here tonight, he's got time in his pocket to achieve this one. It's going to be tight because it's one of the longer sections. Through the gates at the top of it. Forcing himself forward nicely, Adam Raga, without conceding another mark for leaning. Just the 1 dab so far early on. Adam Raga, it's going to be tight on time. He's going to need to rush down this staircase. Back wheel first, sideways on. Time ticking away. Less than 5 seconds remaining. Adam Raga has done it. With just a second to spare, the klaxon sounds, and there was absolutely nothing left to give from Adam Raga, who finishes the lap on 8 marks. And it's going to be tough for Toni Bou to beat that. It's far from over for Adam Raga just yet here tonight. A failure in section 1, but otherwise an excellent effort to finish the lap on 8 marks. Super stuff in particular on section 6, the first rider to make it through. The winner of the opening 3 rounds of this X-Trial campaign could be eliminated as early as heat number 2. And will be if he can't better Adam Raga's 8 mark total. Brilliant effort from Raga, considering that the previous riders to go out through the sections had not been able to make it under 20 marks through the 6. Raga making it through on 8. Toni Bou, section number 1. Nobody's made it through this one as yet. Toni Bou with an opportunity to gain an early advantage. He's up and he's over. Toni Bou is the first rider to make it through section 1. And not only does he make it through, he makes it through clean. 5 sections still to go. This one is far from over. It will go down to at very least the penultimate section of the lap, simply because Adam Raga kept his total in the single digits. But that is a strong start from Toni Bou in a section where Adam Raga really gave it up very early on. Toni Bou, though, will be worse off for time, having made it through section number 1, so that could play a factor later on in the lap. So far, so good in section 2. Adam Raga, the first rider to make it through this one clean last time out. Toni Bou aiming to match him to maintain a 5 mark advantage. Raga failed section 1, remember. Bou leads him by 5. Building up to the final step of section 2. And Toni Bou remains clean in this heat number 2. 2 sections complete, 4 still to come. Consistent effort so far from Toni Bou, showing no signs of dropping any marks up to this stage. Toni Bou, the winner here in the sole X-Trial Strasbourg to date by a massive 19-mark margin back in 2012. Bidding for a second X-Trial Strasbourg victory here tonight. Section number 3. Everyone's dropped at least a mark here. Toni Bou is no different. Drops a mark for leaning on the way down. His first drop mark of the lap. Adam Raga also dropped a mark there, so Toni Bou not losing any of his early advantage. And if he gets through this one, the relatively straightforward section 4 to come. Bou is looking in a confident and comfortable position at the moment. Already guaranteed his 68th podium appearance, getting the better of Benoit Bincaz in heat number 2. So Toni Bou makes it through the first half of the lap with just a single drop mark. Moving on now to section number 4. Just one rider so far has dropped anything here, and that was just a single dab for Jaime Busto. Adam Raga was clean in this one, section 4. Toni Bou comes into section 4 with just a single mark. Adam Raga was on 6 at the same point. So Bou moving ever closer to a place in the grand final that will guarantee he extends his championship lead over his nearest rival, Adam Raga, with the top 2 in the series meeting one another here in the second heat. Raga excellent in the closing 5 sections, but that 5-mark score in section 1 may well now come back to haunt him. Toni Bou, 14 times an X-Trial winner in France, looking to make it 15 here tonight. It will be his 4th win of the X-Trial campaign if he can pull it off. Toni Bou clean in section number 4, and that sets us up for a potential Heat 2 decider in the next one, section 5. Toni Bou will be assured of his place in the final if he can record a maximum of a single mark score here. Adam Raga scored a single, as did Gironi Fajardo from Heat 1. So Bou knows it is possible for him to seal his place in the final right here in section number 5. If he doesn't, he'll leave himself in the danger zone, because in terms of time, he's worse off than Adam Raga with section 6 still to come. And Raga only dropped a single mark there, so Bou won't be able to afford to run out of time if things go wrong here in section 5. He's got to guarantee this one. 1 mark dropped on the opening to the section for leaning. Can't afford any more now. If he can keep it at 1 as he just shakes out his right hand. He's been struggling with his arms in recent rounds. Toni Bou, intensity of the calendar, intensity of the events as well, with 6 consecutive sections in 6 minutes. Toni Bou, final step to make it up. He needs to avoid a mark dropped on leaning, and he does avoid it. It's a single mark for Toni Bou in section 5. He secures his place in the grand final, and in the process dumps out his main championship rival, Adam Raga. And whatever Toni Bou does in the remainder of tonight, he will extend his championship advantage. Bou is guaranteed a place in the top 2 here this evening. Adam Raga can side to 3rd. Toni Bou onto section 6. It doesn't really matter what he does here. He's guaranteed top seeding position through to the final, but he's giving the section a go nonetheless, which is good news and good spectacle for the crowd here this evening. They love watching Toni Bou achieve the seemingly impossible. And as the only rider to make it through section 1 in this round number 2, that's been enough for Toni Bou to secure his place in the final with a section to spare. He looks up to his right to check on the time. He knows it's going to be tight. He needs to make it efficiently through the gates at the top of this section. He looks again to see how long he's got. Just under 20 seconds for Toni Bou for the remainder of this. Section number 6, Adam Raga completed it with a single mark. Toni Bou labouring somewhat more over the gates at the top of the section. He's even tighter on time than Adam Raga was before him. Bou facing the other direction as he makes it down the steps, and Toni Bou has just run out of time there. So it's a 5-mark score officially in section 6. Well, we knew he was capable of making it through because he did make it through, but it was a 5-mark score on time, and Bou seems to be nursing a continued injury to his right hand. Will that plague him in tonight's grand final? Remains to be seen. Great effort from Toni Bou in the first 5 sections, but it was section 1 in particular where he did the damage to his rivals, and that is enough to see Toni Bou through despite that late 5-mark score in section number 6. It's just a single mark advantage for Toni Bou, but it's enough for him to take the top seeding position through to tonight's grand final. Adam Raga and Benoit Bincaz finishing 3rd and 4th respectively in the standings overall here tonight. So it's Miquel Gelabert who makes it through direct from heat number 1, and Toni Bou as the winner of heat number 2. Bou will have the advantageous second starting possession. It'll be Miquel Gelabert first out through the sections in the final. 2 sections from round 2 repeated here, plus 4 of the sections from the heat stages completed in both directions. So the riders have at least seen all of these elements at some stage here tonight, but not necessarily all put together in such a demanding fashion, tough to complete within the 1-minute time allowance as well. Miquel Gelabert into section number 1. in the first direction. He dropped a single mark in the opening round of heats. In the second direction, he failed. So it's going to be tough, this one, for Miquel Gelabert, who effectively has already failed once here tonight, making it over that little ridge that cost a couple of the riders marks in the opening round of heats here earlier on this evening. Miquel Gelabert with no problems so far in section 1 of this grand final. Always going to be tough to go head-to-head against Toni Bou, but he's halfway through section number 1 and with half of the time utilised. It's in the second direction that Gelabert failed in round number 2. He's going to drop a mark there for footing and a mark for leaning as well, so it's 2 marks dropped for Miquel Gelabert so far. He's got to avoid dropping much more ground here. It's going to be another one, and down he goes, off the side of the section to a 5. It was going to be tough for Miquel Gelabert anyway in terms of time, but he fails it after conceding 3 marks and then slipping off the side of the section. On to Toni Bou, the 31-year-old from Spain, in his 79th X-Trial appearance, up the first step on the back wheel. Toni Bou, the winner of 10 successive X-Trials, 3 of them, of course, in this 2018 campaign to open an 18-point series lead. Toni Bou guaranteed to extend that margin of an advantage here tonight with Adam Raga already eliminated, but can he continue that winning run? Made it about 5 or so seconds faster than Miquel Gelabert through the first half of this section. It's in the second direction that Gelabert struggled. Bou, by contrast, cleaned this section, remember, in heat number 2. Can he do the same in this one? The first section of the grand final. He's got less time, obviously, on his side. He's rushed through the middle of this second direction quite nicely. Big step here. Can he make it up? Less than 10 seconds remaining. Bou patient at the bottom of the step. He makes it up on the back wheel. He leaps through, and with 2 seconds to spare, Toni Bou completes section number 1. Miquel Gelabert failed it, and Bou takes a 4-mark advantage by just a 2-second margin in section number 1. Now on to section 2. This is an exact repeat of section 2 from round 2. Miquel Gelabert made it through in round 2, but he doesn't in the final. Straight down to a 5. And that just demonstrates the level of pressure on Miquel Gelabert's shoulders. This is the furthest he's ever made it in an X-Trial competition, in his debut X-Trial season, of course. And a 5-mark score at the start of section 2, and this is a golden opportunity now for Toni Bou to extend his advantage here at round number 4 of the 2018 X-Trial World Championship. Bou, who led by 4 after the opening section, now leads by 9 if he can maintain a clean in section 2. It's so far so good. He was clean on this section in round number 2. He's clean so far on this section in the final. 9 marks will be the advantage for Toni Bou after this one, with Miquel Gelabert unexpectedly failing. Toni Bou building up to the final step. He's already made it over this once here tonight, and does the same for a second time. 1 mark from 2 sections for Toni Bou. Predictably, it is the more experienced of the 2 grand finalists that leads, but by perhaps a more emphatic margin than you would have expected after the opening 2 sections. We're now into section 3. First up, the round 2 configuration, and then the round 1 configuration afterwards. So Gelabert, who failed this section in both directions, both in round 1 and in round 2, has got a tall order now to try and pass it successfully in both, and he hasn't. He slipped off the side of the bike. Miquel Gelabert hasn't given up just yet. He tries to haul himself back on board the machine, which was quite acrobatic. Looks as though he's done himself some physical damage trying to haul himself back onto the bike, but eventually he has to give second best and off to the side, and a 5-mark score. 15 now from 3 sections for Miquel Gelabert. Toni Bou conceded just 1 mark in this section in the heat stages combined. So looking to get through once again in the grand final. Just 1 mark from 2 sections so far. He leads by 14. How much of that advantage can he maintain? He looks over his shoulder just to check on the time. He's in a good position on time after the first half of this section. He's now rushing through the second half. Toni Bou. The descent from the top of this block has cost riders marks on leaning all night, and he has dropped another one. The sump just clacking into the elements as he makes his way down. It's only going to be a single mark, though, as things stand in section number 3. Time ticking away. It's going to be tight once again. Long sections in this evening's grand final. 5 seconds to spare this time. Toni Bou is out with just a single mark and leads by 13 in this grand final. A stunning first half of the lap for Toni Bou. Section number 4, and in the heat stages, this was the easiest of them. The difficulty level raised for the grand final, in particular because of the inclusion of this upright trunk. It's the first time it's been used here tonight. The aim to push the riders to the limit in the grand final. It certainly pushed Miquel Gelabert to the limit so far. If he fails this section, Toni Bou will be guaranteed victory in Strasbourg. He's made it up the step brilliantly as well, without dropping a mark for leaning. Miquel Gelabert, 3 fiascos in the first 3 sections. He must make it through this one, section 4, to keep the X-Trial alive. Realistically, Toni Bou looks in a commanding position. Miquel Gelabert working his way through. He's misjudged it slightly. He slips over the side, and it's been judged as a 5-mark score for Miquel Gelabert. 20 marks is total from 4, and Toni Bou wins to maintain his unbeaten run and move himself on to 11 successive victories, 4 for the 2018 campaign. Victory confirmed for Toni Bou with 3 rides to spare. He now comes out onto section number 6. Miquel Gelabert and Toni Bou both failing last time out in section 5. Bou hoping for a strong end tonight. He's going to drop a mark there for leaning. The tower section, extremely difficult in the grand final configuration because the riders have to make it through in 2 directions. Bou failed in one of the directions, remember, but only on time in round number 2. So far, so good, but I suspect that this section may just prove simply too long to be completed within a minute. Speed also being demanded of the riders in the new X-Trial format for 2018. Bou rushes down, the first half of the section completed. Toni Bou now presented with the staircase, but more than half of the time already used, and Bou with 1 mark to his name so far. He's going to use another there for a dab to try and pull himself up. That's 3 marks drop now. Any more drop marks for Toni Bou, and this will be a failure, but to be honest, it looks as though he's going to run out of time anyway. Toni Bou has performed valiantly in this grand final, but there it sounds. The horn to announce the conclusion of section number 6 for Toni Bou, who finishes the lap with successive failures. Miquel Gelabert, though, taking 6 failures here in the grand final to finish on a maximum 30-mark score. Toni Bou, despite his 2 failures at the end of the lap, 17 marks clear once again to finish on 13 in the grand final.
Toni, viens ici.
So after close-fought finals in both Vendée and Montpellier, this time it's another dominant victory for Toni Bou by a 17-mark margin that gives him the 20 championship points for the 4th time in 2018. I'm happy in the end with 3rd and in the end with the 2nd lap, where I was only 1 point from beating Toni. But I'm not happy to miss out on the final or with the regulations that kept me out. It's incredible. I still can't believe it. I'm very happy and very grateful. I would like to thank everyone who's supported me, my parents and my team. And let's see if we can continue this great run in the forthcoming races this year. Everything has worked out well. Adam pushed very hard in round 2, but I made it through. And in the final, by the last 2 sections, I was right on the limit physically, so I couldn't finish a perfect lap. But I think my riding today has been fantastic, so I'm happy with the start of the championship. A runner-up position for Miquel Gelabert moves him into 4th position in the championship standings, and the youngster is set to be one of the main beneficiaries when each rider's lowest score of the season is removed as well. Meanwhile, with Adam Raga only 3rd in Strasbourg, Toni Bou gains another 8 points in the championship standings to move 26 points clear, and he remains undefeated at the season's halfway mark.